You are cordially invited.
Hi Charles, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Very, very good, and I am mesmerized by your short movie. I totally did not see that coming in more than one way. I was really taken away by it. Congratulations! That was a great way to end 2020 with a bang, as you said.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you didn't see it coming because I was very quiet about what it was on purpose. Just because there's so many reasons. But first of all, thank you for saying that. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you think it was a good
Yeah.
way to end it. Um, but yeah, in regards to keeping it a little bit quiet and what it was about, that's such a big element of wrestling, isn't it? Like the surprise and like the returns. How huge are the pops for returns, you know? And in a small way, this was a return of some faces that a lot of fans haven't seen. And so I was like, right, I'm going to keep this quiet. I'm going to build some interest, and hopefully people feel satisfied with the outcome. And yeah, there it is.
Yeah, let's talk about this. You said build some interest. I think you did in a great way that because with all of the people who got invited, we saw the clips over Twitter, over their social medias of all of these independent wrestlers, and to build anticipation, we knew one at a time. You didn't release like a list of names and stuff like that, and the mystery participant that we didn't know beforehand.
Yeah.
That was great. I'm not gonna spoil who it is for now. Maybe later in the conversation we're gonna, because maybe people did not see that. You should totally check this out. Can you recall the website?
Yeah, it's www.youarecordiallyinvited.co.uk.
Yeah, perfect. Go there and check this awesome short movie. Which I want to go one step back.
Sure.
You are an actor and a professional wrestler, and you decided to do a fundraising for this to in order to produce this short movie. When did it all started? When did you have the idea of doing this thing?
That's a good question. There's a lot to say about that. Where to start is basically it. So yeah, I've got an acting background, and from there, I ended up writing scripts. Just because I'd be like walking my dog, and I'd think of something that I thought was hilarious, and I was like, "Oh, mate, you gotta write that down," to myself. And like I jot these like jokes down, and then I'd go home. And I was like, I'm gonna write around like a scenario around this one joke. And then I ended up writing an entire feature film. Um, and I didn't know how. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I just wrote it in Microsoft Word, and that's not how you write a script. I tried to format it and everything, but then I had to move it. I had to rewrite, and oh gosh! But this was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, then I made a production company called Crucible Films, and
Hmm.
I basically thought, yeah, I'm going to make my own stuff. In the meantime, between auditions, because auditions are few and far between, and you don't always get them. You don't get most of them. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, started making my own stuff, and then basically found wrestling and got obsessed and latched onto wrestling and started doing all that. Then 2020 happened,
Hmm.
and 2020 was just, I mean, it was just so, it was a bad year. Let's just
Yeah.
say for
Yeah.
everybody, for everybody. But wrestling, I say especially British wrestling, but it did go around a lot of other places, was bad in its own way, on top
Yes.
of all the COVID stuff. And everyone, especially after speaking out, was very, like, everyone felt really like this guttural lack of trust of this industry and environment that everyone loved. And this
Hmm.
place is supposed to be an escape for people.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? This is why we love this. We get to go and we just get to be consumed by this world that's created by the people in it, and the promoters and all this and this awesome stuff. And yet this horrific reality is takes its place.
Yeah.
And obviously that was horrible for everyone. But everyone was really low. A lot of people wanted to quit. I was one of them. I was like, like it's so hard to see the positive. And then I had like a kind of moment where I kind of thought to myself, I had like a moment where I actually thought about the people directly impacted in that. And I thought of how hard that must have been for them when we were all having a great time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
they were struggling before we even got to this point. And now this has all come to light. I'm not saying it wasn't hard for us to hear, but also we're like, oh, well, I'm going to leave. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I kind of had like a moment where I was like, it's kind of hard for me to say. And I want to make sure I word it properly. But like, I just had a moment where I realized that the people directly affected had been struggling for way longer, and they pushed through it and they kept wrestling. And only now, and they're still here because they love it so much, and they went through all of that. And now it's finally out, and they've got like a shred of relief from getting this out and clearing BritWres, which was very much needed, may I add.
Yes.
I don't deny that it was very much needed. But now that that's happened, and they can kind of hopefully move forward with less weight on their shoulders, everyone was like, right, don't want to be a part of it. And that kind of resonated with me a little bit. And I was like really thinking about it. I was like, yeah, like that's ridiculous. We've got to crack on. But then I spoke to a few promotions, and everyone wants to crack on, but everyone's a bit wary of putting content out when the scene is so negative, and understandably so.
Yes.
So yeah, I kind of thought to myself, oh, well, you know what? I'm not a promoter. I'm not. I haven't got history as a promoter. I don't plan to be a promoter really. And I just thought, what could I do because I think what we've got to try and do is start edging forwards, and we've got to take 2020, we've got to learn from it. Do not ignore it, learn from it. But we've also got to push forwards now and try and change the atmosphere, try and change the environment to a slightly more positive one, because, and that's not going to happen overnight. No way. There's years of then there's like this horrible betrayal vibe. So that's not going to happen. You can't just get trust back that quickly. But I kept thinking to myself, it's such a negative environment, but there's so many good people still around. And people kept seeming to like forget about these people, like, oh, when we get back, who's even left? And I was like, who's even left? Oh my God, like there's so many, not only good people, but very, very, very talented, very creative people, and also unique people. Like, and that's how I actually selected people to be in it, because I knew from in various ways that they were good people. I trusted that they're good people first and foremost. They're all individually very interesting, very unique, and they all stand out in their own way, which makes that film awesome, because they all come together to do this. So I kind of thought, you know what can I do? And I thought, I've got experience making films. We can't rest in front of a crowd. So maybe, it's legal to make films. If I do all this research on COVID regulations, then I can, not only is it legal, but I can make it as safe as possible, because I live with a high risk person. So I'm super on it with that kind of stuff. Oh God, so many research. I've got like so much paperwork on COVID. Who isn't sick of COVID? But I'm also like, oh God, reading up about it. But yeah, so basically I thought, in this time when there's so many limitations and no one really feels compelled to do anything, I was like, if I can really push myself and get off my ass and make something happen, and it makes some people happy and chip away at the negativity, I was like, that would be cool. So all that happened then is I put out the IndieGoGo campaign, and because I wasn't like, oh right, I'm going to make this incredible thing. I thought, I'll put a feeler out, and if people are interested and they believe in me, which, my following's not huge or anything, so I was very honored and felt like blessed to have so many people donate money towards this. They're like, please, we actually think you can do something that would entertain us. We want anything, you know what I mean? So yeah. I was like, and I saw all that, and I thought, I'm not just going to give you anything. I'm going to give you the best thing I can do with what I've got around me. And there we have it. That's what was produced.
Yeah, and the IndieGoGo campaign was also a success. I think you had like 150% of the initial amount or something like that. Am I right?
Yeah, the goal was 800, which was, I kind of thought, shot myself in the foot slightly, because filmmaking is an expensive
Yeah,
process,
I
and
think so.
yeah, like £800 is a great amount of money, but it's in film world, it's not a huge amount of money at all. And I was like, yeah, if I get 800, I'll figure the rest out. And then I got 800, and I was like, oh, this isn't enough. But people kept investing, and I think the total was about 1,200, which came in, which helped massively. And then to make it happen, I added very similar to, if not slightly more, the same amount my end, because I'm someone that, because I can't half-ass it. Like, if I'm gonna pull all these people in and all these risks and all this preparation, so I used I put my company money into it, and I thought, you know what, if they will make this, I'll invest into this, and it wasn't all at once either. Like, I had to like pay certain people a little bit later, because I mean, all my auditions have stopped and wrestling has stopped, so my income has stopped. So that was tricky, but we made it happen. Classic indie filmmaking. And luckily I had an amazing crew, and the cast and everyone was in such good spirits, and it went very well.
Yeah, and you can totally tell that by seeing the short movie, because even the acting, let's say, part was kind of it reminded me when you don't see like your closest friends for a long time, then you have the chance to be all together in one room, and you had this kind of vibe, here in Italy we say, like at the last day of school, that you want to have fun but you still like to hang out with your peers and stuff like that. And I could really tell that by seeing the movie. How long did it take to shoot the film?
So to shoot everything, it took 2 days.
Okay.
So it took a weekend. The first day was the beginning of the film and the end of the film, like the outside field shot, because I needed less people and I had a bit more time, and I needed to split that day up, because my word, like the second day was a long haul. That was intense, and bless everyone that's like, you know, a lot of the Oh, sorry. There's like a grandfather clock going on. I'm not super wealthy. It sounds like it is because there's a grandfather clock, but it's a lie. But like these wrestlers aren't necessarily used to being on set. Like, they're used to cameras and such, but like, you know, a close up, being directed, minute things, and it gets quite fast paced, and towards the end we were pushing over, which again is classic filmmaking, and if it was actors that are used to it, I'd have been a little bit less. I've been about, you know, they understand, we got to get this and all that, but I was so aware that people had offered their time and energy, and they were giving it everything, and people obviously getting tired because this day was so long, but they didn't falter, and it was amazing, and every single person smashed it, and in the nicest way to everyone. I didn't necessarily expect them to deliver the performances that they did, because you know,
it's full of bad movies with wrestlers. So yeah, I see what you mean.
Exactly. And it was so nice because, you know, everyone was directable, which was great. Like, everyone, and this is the thing, I wanted people to be themselves anyway, so I shouldn't have to direct too much, because they know themselves inside and out. They're individuals and they've got that creative control. So it's not like forced read off a script, you know, it's like, here's a suggestion, roll with it. Which was so nice to see, and everyone smashed it. And especially Elijah, the guy that carries the story, is a good friend of mine, and he's insanely talented. And it's so nice for him to finally have a platform to kind of show what he looks like, sounds like, that he can carry a story, that he can wrestle, you know, like, and so I think everyone should be really proud of what they did.
Yeah, he actually, yeah, I was pretty like taken aback by seeing him, because it's a name that I think I may have heard once or twice when like reading about various independent show in the UK, but I never had the chance to see him wrestle. Actually, I never had the chance to see wrestle many of the people involved in the project, but specifically Elijah. I was really surprised because at the very beginning, when the brawl starts, he has a couple of moves that are maybe the most wrestling in all of the movie, and I was like, wow, he is good. I could tell that he is good, and yeah, now I think that you accomplished this side of the mission, because now I'm intrigued by by him, and many other names, of course, of the people that were inside the movie. I had the chance to interview one of the members of the cast, Chuck Mambo. Amazing
awesome.
person.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's amazing.
Amazing person. And one of the things that I popped for is when you have the Simpsons frame of Mambo had to come back to his native planet. I popped so hard for this one. I'm a huge Simpson fan, huge Simpson nerd.
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, and that's exquisitely befitting of Chuck Mambo. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so. I'm so glad you think so.
Who came up with that? Did you come up with that as well?
Yeah, I came up with that. I wrote the script, and I all the kind of little bits of dialogue in there. Maybe we tweaked a few bits, but I sent it off to everyone. I sent that to Mambo, and he loved it. he was literally like, he's like, yeah, absolutely, and because it's so him, and he knows it, and
it's so him. Yep.
He couldn't be any more like, he's so genuine, and that's what I love about him. And he was so great on the day as well, and he's such a positive person, and he just gives off a positive vibe and that's another reason why I picked who I picked, because everyone was so positive on set. And I just know that they're good, happy people. So I know that even though it's going to be a stressful day, I was amongst people that all wanted it to be successful, and they were giving it everything. So that was really important. I was quite fortunate with that.
Yep. And now I'm going to go into spoiler territory. So for the people who did not see the movie You're Cordially Invited yet, I recommend you to pause this podcast, go check it, and then play it again on this episode, because I said I really popped for Chuck Mambo, but there was another thing that I totally did not expect and totally changed the tone of the movie for me, and was the like double super kick combo onto the referee's head, which exploded. I did not see that coming. That was like an holy fuck moment for me.
I love that. Honestly, hearing people's reaction to that cracks me up. I've got like that kind of sense of humor where I'm like, like literally, I've got like I say tee hee, and it's literally because it's that kind of naughty sense of humor that I just knew people would be like, what the fuck have I just watched? And that pops me. I watched the YouTube live stream of people, and I was watching it with them, pretty nervous. Like I was like, God, I really hope people like this. And I got to that bit, and I was like, oh yeah, I almost forgot this happens, even though I've been staring at this edit screen for God knows how long. And people's reactions, they were like, whoa, what? And actually, the comments slowed down, which made me laugh, because you could just tell people just were like speechless.
Yeah, we're gasping. That from that moment onwards, it completely changes the tone of the movie. It becomes something like I don't know, and I would say 80s splatter movie or something like that, or at least for the tone. And I was so surprised by that, and I started seeing the movie from another perspective. The first part was like, okay, let's see what's going on, and basically what's the old plot that you narrate at the beginning, that there has to be one winner. Okay, let's see who wins. That was the first part.
Yeah,
that was the first part. The second part was like, oh, okay, maybe Brit wrestling is dying here, like literally dying.
Yep.
That was so amazing, so amazing.
I'm so glad.
And and the message has been delivered, man. It's totally what you wanted to accomplish. That Brit wrestling is, in fact, pretty much alive and well, not dead.
Well, that's exactly it. Like, another trigger that made me make this was there was a tweet by someone basically saying when we come back there will be no names left. And it'll be and it was a fine tweet. I think the tweet got a lot of heat, but I
think I saw it as well.
Yeah, and like I saw his point. I wasn't like a super offended by it, but it also did make me think. I just didn't really quite agree. I saw where he was coming from, but I didn't quite agree. And I think BritWres is dead is thrown around all the time to the point where it's become a joke. And like this time, if there's any time to say BritWres is dead, sure, 2020, I get that. But I obviously completely disagree. And I was like, so yeah, it's a very ironic message. It's like BritWres dies in this film, but in doing so, it's created something that is new, it's unique. Like, sure, there's been cinematic matches, but this isn't quite a cinematic match. This is
I wouldn't call it like that. Yeah,
no, it's a cinematic wrestling short film, and an experience, like cinematic experience, because it is. You can't, so much happens. So, and it's very much alive. Like, how can you say that after seeing that? You're like, so there's so much to take in. 2021 has all those people and more. That's only a handful of people. Like, so many people I could have picked from.
Yeah, and that was also a way to showcase to a wider audience, such as myself, for example. I'm not necessarily familiar with all of the faces of the independent British scene because I do not live there.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But I got acquainted with many of the faces that now are either in WWE, AEW, New Japan, or straight out of the business because of what they did past in their life. So that was a great way to be acquainted with a new generation, I would say, of talents that may not be, many people may not be that familiar. Probably, and now, new spoiler, probably the person that I was more familiar with is the mystery participant, Cara Noir. And but still, to the mainstream wrestling fan, let's say, Cara Noir is still pretty much unknown. It's not a name that has appeared that regularly ever on a mainstream platform. So yeah, it's a big name in the indie scene, but not your casual wrestling fan doesn't know about him. And that was a pretty clever way to showcase him and all of the other talents, yourself included, because to my knowledge, as you understood before we started recording this conversation, I called you Chris like 3 times before you said you said, well, it's actually Charles.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
So pretty much.
That's absolutely it. And the thing is, I was very aware making this that I was probably, in fact, almost definitely the least experienced wrestler amongst them. And, if that was, all these people have years on me in that regard. So that's why I gave them some creative control with who they are and what they wanted to do in the sequences and all this kind of stuff, because that's the beauty of wrestling. You guys decide, and you guys decide what story you want to tell within your fight. But obviously I have a huge amount of experience. I've been acting for years. I've been performing for years, and I've made a feature film. I've made multiple award-winning shorts. So on the day, I felt very comfortable taking the reins, and people, they respected that as well. So it was it was really, really nice. And it was nice, you know, I didn't feel the need to put myself, like, sure, I was like running the show, which was great, and I used that to basically, my monologue at the beginning tells the story, the very simple story of like last wrestler standing, you know, enjoy, watch, and just entertain. But you know, hopefully that I just feel like I managed to, which I'm really proud of, and I don't often pat myself on the back very well, but like I managed to, I feel like I put everybody over in a fairly equal amount. Like obviously Elijah carries that film, and again he's a slightly lesser known as it stands, but you'll be seeing much more of him in 2021, and everyone in their own way gets across who they are. And I was like, that is the coolest achievement to me. Like, that is so awesome, because I don't think there's one person that doesn't get across who they are in that. And the way it's presented is a much more commercially appealing way, like you said. So it gets to a more mainstream audience, because they're like, oh, this is fun. And who are these people? Like, I've had people say, oh, I like the person that drank a lot. She was great. And I'm like, well, there you go. She's been introduced to them now.
Yeah, totally. And you're right. You did an amazing job of showing each character, each person, each wrestler on an equal level. There's no one shines more than the other, in my opinion. Yes. And that's so cool, because it was such a sense of working for the same cause, if you know what I mean. Sure. And that's a very cool vibe that the movie gives off, when you don't take into consideration all of the gory stuff, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And of course. And last spoiler for now. So, what about the Great Khali?
Oh, good old Great.
What?
That is a very good question, and why it makes me laugh so much.
I mean, I get it, but why specifically him? I mean, Repo Man wasn't available, or something like that.
To be honest, Great Khali, man, he's so awesome. So he, so I just think Great Khali is great. I just think he's like in his way, in the way that Great Khali is great. Yes. I didn't even know too much about. So I got that video off a site called Cameo, and I wasn't too aware that you could kind of do this, and it probably wouldn't have even popped into my mind. There's a wrestler, I'm not sure if you know him, called Tim Lee,
nope.
And he's another BritWres guy, someone I would have loved to have had in this, and he's very talented and he's very funny. And he did a promo once where he paid Great Khali via this Cameo to do a small message saying something like, Team Tim Lee, or Tim Lee, you're great. And I remember it from years ago, and it resonated with me, and it stuck with me. And I was like, that's so funny. And
yes, it is.
And also, I don't know if you follow Great Khali on Instagram, but it's comedy gold. I don't know if he means it to be, but I love him for it. And I sent him a message on Cameo and sent him some money, and I said, look, can you please say what was it? Wow, I guess BritWres really is dead, or is it? And bless him, I sent it. I say bless him, I don't mean to be patronizing to the Great Khali. He's the Great Khali. But like but the language barrier, I sent it, and I thought, because I did explain, I said, I would love you to say something for my film and pop up, but I didn't have many characters. And then I just kind of said that. So it wasn't explained very well. Yeah. And he sent me a long video back, and he has a translator basically in between each one of those bits, kind of explaining what he has to say. And like, also, he probably didn't understand what BritWres is. Like, he probably, even his translator is probably like, what is that? So good luck and try. And he did what he did, and it was great. It couldn't have even been better. I was like, this is classic Great Khali. So and I thought, after all that spectacle of like high quality, shot in 4K, visual effects, beauty, after the credits, a portrait video of Great Khali saying BritWres is dead, I was like, it's gold. It has to be there.
Yeah, yeah. It was the last name on the list of the supporters of the campaign. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then the cameo video appeared. Oh, okay.
Yeah, literally. Like, I mean, I question. I'm sure he'd be fine with it because I sent him a message, and in the end of his message that obviously I didn't use, he said he was really lovely. He was like, "Oh, you'll be a big star, big movie maker," and I was like, "Oh, legend!" Like, I didn't ask him to say that. He's really cool. So
Yeah,
yeah, good
just
sport.
just a good guy, Great Khali. Yeah.
Yeah, Great Khali's great guy. We're best mates now, basically. So
He's absolutely a good guy. Listen, Charles, before I'll ask you to plug all of your channels and I'll let you go, I want to know a little bit more about your wrestling career because, of course, in the movie, it is like it is pretty clear that you have a beef with another wrestler, but I wasn't necessarily familiar with the backstory of it. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just ask him about that.
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more?
so so my wrestling career, so I haven't been wrestling that long in the scheme of things, especially considering 2020 kind of shut down. My debut match was March 2018 or 17. Gosh, that's strange. Times is different, or strange beast right now.
Time's different now. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think actually 2018, March 2018 is my debut match. So, like I said, I got less experience, but someone that I got to know quite early on was Bobby Tyler, and we just get on. And no, I don't mean to upset people, but like because we've got such a feud, but like we've got this very very similar humor, so we've got on from like really early days, and we've become very close. And she's one of the very few people I feel like I can talk to and confide in and trust and all this. And she's one of my favorite matches I've ever had at a place called UBW. And it kind of resonated with me. And since then, we're just like, because we're so close, it's like, we really should be doing more because we've got such a good chemistry, like on and off camera or in and out of the ring. So it's kind of like, we've got to capitalize on this. So I was just like, look, one day, I think it was just like, I'm just going to start hating on you. And she, and she was like, "Yeah, do it." And it just kind of evolved from there. And it's so fun. And it's so because with her, I really feel like I can take the piss out of her, and like vice versa, And like so, it hasn't stemmed from any like wild rivalry that's been seen on like Progress or anything like this.
Yeah.
It's purely just Twitter beef. And the people that have been following us have seen this and they've latched onto it. And we've sewn it into the build up. And yeah, and that there's a behind the scenes video that's coming out very soon to kind of give an insight into people that are interested in how we made the film, how we did certain aspects of it. And there's a clip of me slapping Bobby for what must have been like the 5th time. And I think I say one more time, and she literally like eye rolls, and then she says like, "You've wanted to do that for so long." Like it's a very much like love-hate relationship. Like I think she's great, we get on, but like we completely take the piss out of each other. So that was nice for that to come across, and it's solidified forever, and it will continue forever.
Do you feel that your background in acting has helped you in the transition with wrestling?
Yeah, for sure. It certainly put me on shows earlier because I could rely on crowd work and I could rely on mic skills, and I was safe enough to be out there. You could argue, was I out there too soon? I'd probably say in regards to performing for people, maybe, but also it allowed me to progress quicker. So yeah, it's helped a lot because as long as I'm safe and I can do the crowd work, then I could wrestle a certain style.
Yeah.
And obviously, while I do that, I can then keep training in the background and kind of basically evolve and just become a better technical wrestler, which I've been doing a lot of in 2020 behind the scenes. So I'm looking forward to proving that side of me in 2021.
Yeah. Who is Charles Crowley as a character?
Charles Crowley is a very hard person to describe and explain because does Crowley get Crowley? Like, it all stemmed, like the name stemmed from Aleister Crowley, who's a Satanist, like the most famous Satanist.
Yeah, of course.
And it wasn't necessarily because he's a Satanist, because he loved goats too much, but I really I find it very interesting that he was this incredibly charismatic man, and because he was so charismatic, he was able to manipulate people to do the most heinous, incredible things, like awful things. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of incredible. Like I admire that aspect, maybe not the horrible things, but like this guy was so charismatic, he could make, manipulate like a puppeteer. And I was like, that's kind of incredible. And the other side of it is basically I love the aesthetic of the carnival. Because a carnival and the circus is very, it's gritty. It's built on often like a cheapness, but it's presented as this glorious spectacle with all this like shining lights and entertainment and loud noises. But it's built on like, and then they pack it up and they travel off to the next place and set it up. And I think that's how I see Crowley. Crowley is this person that maybe hasn't come from like, these humble beginnings or whatever, like, and he's a bit dodgy and he's not quite with it and all this kind of stuff, but he's got this charisma and he's got this drive and he's got this drive to put on a show. And in his head, putting on a show is whether that's like beating his opponent up to a pulp or like, entertaining the fans, either whichever Crowley you end up getting on the day, that's his motivation. So yeah, there's a little bit of insight into him. That's probably the best I can get. He's very confusing.
And did the Charles part come from Charles Manson?
No, it didn't. That's a good thought, though. I can understand why.
Yeah, you said the manipulating and this stuff. Okay, well,
so, yeah.
Could make people do crazy stuff. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Charles Manson. There you go. No, it wasn't quite Charles Manson. That's a personal name to me, but I'll keep that secret for me to know.
Okay. I won't ask again. Okay, perfect. Well, Charles, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And before you go, plug all of your channels or all of your social media, whatever. You're doing pretty much great numbers with the movie on YouTube. So if you have a channel you want to plug, do it.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, because I tell you what, it's so nice to be able to talk about it. Because when this happened, it was overwhelming. Like, oh my God! Like day one, I was like, whoa! I was expecting like maybe a certain amount of people to appreciate it, and then a certain amount of people, because I've put this into a place that's feeling a bit negative, to kind of attack it. And like, and I was like, I was ready for that, and I think that's understandable. I can understand why people want to. That's fine. It wouldn't upset me. I was ready. But like the response was overwhelming. So first of all, anyone that's listening, thank you so much for watching it and enjoying it and shouting out about it. That's invaluable. And thank you, man, for letting me talk about it, because it's so nice to talk about it. It's so nice. You're the first person I've spoken to about it in such a more in-depth and general way, and that's really nice to do. So thank you for that.
I have to thank you for being so kind and personable, and for it's a great honor for me to be the first one to talk about this short movie. So, well, I wish you many more to come after me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll throw my tags out there. So I'm at Crowley Carnival on literally everything. I think at Crowley Carnival on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And like I said, if you want to see the film, the website's going to stay up. So it's www.carnival.com. youarecordiallyinvited.co.uk, or you can find it on YouTube. If you type in Charles Crowley, I'll pop up and it'll easily be my most viewed video. So, but yeah, if you want to watch it, please do. Behind the scenes coming out soon, and just thank you to everyone that's supported it. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, real quickly, say one good thing about each of your characters of the movie.
Oh, as people, or
as people, as wrestlers,
Oh, one good thing. That's going to be hard. Big Guns Joe is one of the nicest people. I get on with him incredibly well, and again, we have a very similar humor. So it was and he's an incredibly hard worker. He drives all around the place, and he deserves every bit of success he gets in 2021. I could say that about everyone, so this is going to be hard. Kid Lycos 2, again, such a nice guy, and again, he's been wrestling for a long time. He's probably one of the more experienced people, yet being one of the younger people. And he's phenomenal. Like, he's so talented. And I know 2021, he's got some opportunities coming his way, and he's going to smash that. I'm so sure of it. Session Moth Martina, she is literally Session Moth Martina. She is awesome. And she again, she's someone that's very genuine, and she's so fun. She's got great banter, so she's fantastic. Like I said, Chuck Mambo, he is so genuine, so lovely. He's so supportive, and he was just so happy to be there, as everyone was, to be fair. But yeah, I was so happy that he was there, because he's infectious. His being is infectious. Oh, yeah. So that went to everybody. Gene Money is a good friend of mine now. I have a lot of respect for Gene, because when I started, I think he described me as a yogurt, which meant that, like, it was just not much substance to basically what I was doing in the ring. And like, I'm sure he knew that would change, but like, at the time he was like, no. And he was really honest with me. And because of that, it's allowed me to grow as a performer a lot. So he's someone I go to kind of like throw things his way. And he's like, yes, this is much better and all this. So he's been very supportive. He was very supportive with that film. He's a really good guy. And yeah, so that's Gene. Warren Banks, oh man, legend. I really get on with Warren Banks. I love him. He's so, how can someone so in such good shape and so handsome just be so chill about everything? And like, he just comes across so cool, and he genuinely is cool. And again, he's come on, how can he not be like a force in 2021? Just look at him. And again, this film, he's got that kind of quiet charisma that I was happy that this film could get out. So yeah. Kanji, and I'll say Kanji and Visage, because those two, I know they're very good friends, and they're the two that I've spoken to the least. I didn't know them as well as I knew other people, and they were awesome. Obviously, they've both got incredible looks, and they just look so cool. And they both added so much. They added so much color, and they were both super passionate and friendly. And I'm so glad, because again, I didn't know them as well, and I'm so glad they were there. So massive thanks to them. Ref Greenwood, big shout out to Ref Greenwood. He is, I'm saying everyone's nice, but he is so kind. He was doing things on set when I told people, I said, look, the camera's going to be coming through here, so by all means brawl, but just be wary that the camera's going to come through. And I didn't know, because I was so focused on everything I could possibly be. I was spread very thin. But someone told me he was like, amidst the acting, guiding the wrestlers that had already forgotten that the camera was coming through, and they had to like make way. He was like guiding them out, and he was such a legend, so supportive. Sent me some nice positive messages when I was stressing out. I was like, oh, you know what, I'm just not happy with this bit, and because I'm perfectionist, I stressed about that until the last second. So he was awesome. Obviously Bobby, hate her, but I love her. That's all I need to say about Bobby. She's a twat. But I'm so glad she was there, because she's like, within this wrestling world that's very, very strange, she's like easily my best mate, and it's so cool to do it with her. And I know she's going to smash in 2021. I think she's got big things on the horizon, so that's very cool. Elijah, as I've said, it's so easy to say like Elijah's like underrated, but I don't think he is underrated, because for people that do know him, they know how good he is. And now I've had several people, including you being one of them, that have said your film has made me open my eyes to Elijah and who he is and what he's about. And that's so awesome, because he's a good mate of mine, and that makes me very, very happy, because he deserves it. And who am I missing? Oh, Clementine.
Clementine, yeah.
Clementine.
Big fan of her. Big fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, Clementine.
I've never seen her wrestle before your movie, but I'm a big fan. She is one of the funniest Twitter accounts to follow.
Oh, and she'll be so happy to hear you say that, because she's one of these people. She always worry. I've spoken to her briefly, and she was like, you know, some tweets I post get lots of likes, but the ones that I find really funny don't get as many likes. But like,
yeah, I know the feeling. I know the struggle.
Exactly, and I get it. I think we all feel the same way. But she's incredibly creative. She's much better than she thinks she is, because she, like me, is probably, we've got less experience. But that being said, she's going to be a big deal. She just has so much charisma oozing out of her. She cannot like do anything but become a big deal. And she's a very hard worker, and I knew that. And she's so different. She's so unique. You don't get many wrestlers like Clementine. And how could she not be in this film when we're highlighting the wide range of who we have to go watch and support? So, and she's so lovely, like genuinely such an incredible person. So, I can't say enough good things about her. And Cara Noir. Like, like such a professional. And when I approached him, I was like, is he gonna want to do this? Because like, especially when you pitch the script, and what you got to understand is that none of these people, I could pitch it as much as I possibly could via text, but it's never going to truly come across how well I think I could do this. Because and then people showed up on set, so convincing them was one thing, and then people showed up on set and they were like, oh shit, there's two cinematic cameras here, like a gimbal, body cam and all this, and the preparation and all this. They were like, whoa, like, and then, so I'm glad that they got to see it. And then when it came out, I was just, all my work was, I was like, I really want these guys to be proud that they spent the time and effort. So, but he was brilliant, and he was so keen, and he was like, really giving like ideas and stuff, which I love, because it helps make my job more. I'm getting feedback from him, and we're jumping it back, and I'd suggest something to him, and it was great. Absolute professional. Great to get to know him, because again, someone that I hadn't spoken to that much, and he was fantastic. He was so keen to just kind of make sure it was the best it could possibly be, and I will forever appreciate that. Kurt is jokes. I know we have to hate Mad Kurt. We have to find Mad Kurt annoying, but he is so jokes. I again, someone that I hadn't spoken to that much, but I'd met him before, and he's an annoyingly talented guy. But yeah, again, his humor is very much my humor, so that kind of tee-hee humor. So I'm a big fan of that, and he was again fantastic, because he took a beating. He went through a table, he got drilled outside. So he was great. And yeah, Maloney was awesome. He was there briefly, and he was someone I messaged kind of like fairly last minute, because I was like, oh, how should Kurt die? How do I want to kill off Kurt? And I was like, you know what? Their rivalry is well known enough, and I know Maloney looks like an absolute star. And he showed up, and he looks more like a star now than he's ever looked like before. Like, I've seen his work, and he's always looked like a beast, and now he looks like this conditioned, like, superhuman. And him standing like that opposite, like, Kurt, bless him. No offense to Kurt, but that was jokes. And he was wicked. He arrived having no idea what was going on. He didn't know me very well. And again, he was really professional and really positive. And he was fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
Just real quick, Cassius.
Cassius
and Big T. Cassius is absolute legend. I get on with Cassius very well, and he smashed it. It couldn't be more Cassius. Oh, absolutely. Honestly, he just like like there's like a beam of positivity around Cassius, and you can't help but like smile and laugh around Cassius because he's so lovely. Again, incredibly talented. That BritWres needs the color that he brings, and he will absolutely be a big deal in 2021, even more so because he's all the rage. And Big T is an absolute legend. Again, someone that like we may have differing opinions in on our Twitter, and he may not like that sometimes I like to be a stripper magician, and he likes all stuff to be legitimate. But he's a very, very kind-hearted, very intelligent guy. And again, there's no one in British wrestling like him with his size. Like, he should not be slept on, and I think if he chooses to, he could be, no pun intended, but like a big deal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there you go. I'm pretty sure that's everyone. If not, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. I really can't wait to see all of these guys that I'm not familiar with on the independent scene once we kick away this pandemic. So
Yeah.
well, Charles, thank you so much for coming onto the show, and talk to you soon down the line when you will do You're Cordially Invited Part 2, right?
Oh God, we'll see. Hey, if people want it, I will do my very best. We'll see though. Let's take it day by day.
Okay, well, thanks. That was amazing.
It's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Ciao.
Bye.